Anyway, you should be able to turn over the card and show your audience the Seven of Hearts. And that's all there is to it, really. See you guys later. Hey YouTube, Toilet Bowl Octopus here with the actual tutorial video for my Monkey Farts card trick. The trick itself is just essentially an exercise in card control. So it's mechanically not that complex, but there's a lot of techniques that you need to master before you can perform the trick in its entirety. So this video will be focused more on what I do at each step and less on how to do each particular technique. Because I could easily spend 10 minutes talking about a double lift and 10 minutes talking about a pass, and then the video would be an hour long and I wouldn't be able to put it up on YouTube. A little bit about the trick itself. It's one of the first tricks I actually made when I was learning card tricks, and I still use it as the first part of an ambitious card routine that I do when people ask me to perform a magic trick.
The top card isn't your card, right? Okay. So, green bananas, monkey farts, turn this card into the Seven of Hearts. Was any of these your cards? No? Okay, stop it.
So for this trick, there are no hidden mechanisms, there's no invisible elastics that you need to buy to perform it. All you need is a standard deck of cards that you can see here, and just some practice and a little bit of skill. For the sake of demonstration, I'll be adding another card from a different deck, so that we can actually visualize all the card control techniques that I use while I perform it. We start the trick by fanning out the cards, and then we have the spectator pick one of them from the deck. It doesn't actually matter which card they pick, we will be card controlling it to the top later on. So the first part of the trick is the most important part. I riffle down the cards like this and have the spectator tell me when to stop. Then I have them put their card on top of the bottom packet, and then I place the top packet over that. But the important part here is when I'm placing the top packet over that, I create a break using the meat from my palm and my pinky, so I know where their card is in the deck. If you do it right, they shouldn't be able to see, but you can kind of see here because the cards are different thicknesses, so nothing I can do about that. The next part of the trick, as I mentioned earlier, will be to bring the spectator's card to the top of the deck. So we could do a 3-packet cut like this, and that'll put their card right at the top nice and easy. But that only works if you have a table or a stool or some kind of surface to put your cards on top of. If you don't, if you just got air to work with, you have to do a classic pass like this to bring their card to the top. And that takes a little bit of practice. After that, we want to do a false shuffle to hide the fact that we still have the spectator's card on top. So I prefer to do a false overhand shuffle versus a false riffle shuffle, because the overhand shuffle looks less obvious when you're doing it quickly. So to do that, we start off like a regular overhand shuffle, but we put the second packet slightly behind the rest of the cards, so that after we put all the rest of the cards down, we can lift up that second packet to create a break where the spectator's card is. You can see it here. So after that, we can just finish off the shuffle, and their card will be on top. After I shuffle the cards, I do a Sybil cut like this to further hide the fact that I still have their card on top. The great thing about the Sybil cut is that it looks fancy, and yet it still keeps the cards in their original order. So not only is it useful for this trick, but you can use it when you're doing any kind of card control routine where you need the bottom card and the top card or any cards in the middle still in the same order. And it looks fancy. The last part of the trick is a little bit of misdirection I like to do with the double lift, and the double lift itself is really hard to perform and it takes a lot of practice. So I do that by riffling the cards down and stopping right before I get to the final card. And so I slide it out to make sure the edges are aligned and nobody can tell that it's 2 cards instead of 1. And I show that to the audience to show that the spectator's card is not on the top of the deck anymore, which it actually is. See? So I put that down, and the card that I actually showed the audience is still on top, and I can finish off the trick by putting my hand on top and saying green bananas monkey farts, and then reveal the spectator's card to the audience. I guess I'll finish off this video by performing the trick in its entirety, so you can see all the techniques from the magician's point of view and how they work together. And I'll also go over a couple of pointers that I think are important. So one thing that might seem minor but is actually really important for this trick is the grip that you use. I always do a mechanic's grip when I'm doing the break, so that even if I don't have a clean break like this, I can still hide it from the audience 90% of the time. Another thing to keep in mind is that when I'm cutting and shuffling the cards, I'm always talking to the audience. I'm asking them to make sure their card's not the 7 of hearts, and I'm making sure that they're paying attention to what I'm saying and not what I'm doing. It helps to hide the techniques that you use, and even if you mess up like I just did, they'll keep their mind off that and more on what you're saying. Finally, it's important to remember that a magic trick is a performance. So you need a lot of practice, and even if you mess up like this, you need to have a backup plan.